My name is Marc H. Goodman, Esquire. By show of hands, how many of you were born in this country? How many of you weren't? I came to this country 44 years ago of my own volition. It was the hardest thing I did, was to walk out of a family business where I was making 75 pounds a week and come to kids' country to make 75 cents. It wasn't an easy decision, but it's one I chose because I'd had enough where I was and I just wanted to get away. But that wasn't the best decision I ever made in my life, and it certainly wasn't the worst. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our welcome guest, Michelle. Since arriving in this country, I have faced all sorts of discrimination, anti-Semitism, racial bias, unable to get certain jobs because of who I am or where I came from. And I've experienced that for 44 years. I first went down to Beaumont, Texas, because somebody offered me a job down there in a jewelry shop. So every morning I'd have to put a suit on and walk across the courtyard to get on a bus that went out to the north end of town and then to go downtown. All the women that were on that bus were the black housekeepers of all the fancy homeowners in the north end. They never said a word to me, and I was one of one white guy on the bus. It didn't bother me because it's the same thing I grew up with when I was in England. Except one day, a very belligerent white gentleman got on the bus and I was standing there and he started yelling at one of the ladies. So I went over to the driver. I said, "Excuse me, sir, could you hold my jacket at the next stop? Two of us are getting off and only one's getting back on." I got off, I knocked the guy out, I got back on the bus, I took my jacket, I apologized to the driver and everybody, never said another word. For the next 9 months, I got fried chicken, pecan pie, apple pie, anything you could think of, because I'd never seen anybody do what I did. I worked in a jewelry shop down there in Beaumont with some very, I can only say, jealousy is a good word. And I was accused of stealing a Rolex watch. And it was something out of a movie. I was supposed to have broken into a jewelry shop, which was alarmed, bypassed the alarms, had the key and the combination to a safe, opened it up, taken the watch, locked the safe up, turned the combination, put the alarm back on, and walked out and locked the door. All for somebody that didn't have a key to anything. So they accused me. I did all the usual polygraphs and whatnot. But it's because one individual in that store that I worked in was jealous. Because most of you know I have a very sunny disposition. And that sunny disposition has carried me through ever since that I arrived here. Now I arrived with $1,400 in a suitcase. And this time, 44 years ago, I had a half a tank of gas, a half a can of Coca-Cola. I was running 102 temperature. I didn't have health insurance. My mother called up. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and she said, "Hello, dear, I painted your bedroom. You can come home now." And I said to her, "No," and I had tears streaming down my face. "No, you don't understand. I'm not coming home." Now, it wasn't the easiest decision because I was basically out of money, but I did have a job that paid $1.90 an hour. I was bussing tables and washing dishes. It's all right. I didn't have any problem with it. I came back from Beaumont, Texas, and went back to the restaurant again, and the gentleman was kind enough to sponsor me. Now I know none of you in here have one of these. It's a resident alien card. It only allows me certain inalienable rights, but the most important right that I don't have is I can't vote. I can't vote in an election, I can't vote in a local election. The only thing I can vote in is if a stock company sends me a form and says, "We need you to make decisions on this, this, and this, please fill it in and send it back." I've had this card for 39 years. I haven't shown it to too many people because that picture was taken at 8 o'clock on a morning where I was recovering from taking my chefs out, and it was a beer and a shot for 6 hours after work, and so I was a little inebriated, to say the least. In order to get this card, I had to be sponsored by the person I was working for. And it didn't go down too well with the employees that were there. Because why should they employ an English guy working in this restaurant? And the difference between me and them is I didn't have any hours. I had no official, there wasn't time that I was supposed to be there and time to go home. There wasn't anything. So what I did was, I made it my responsibility to show up at 10 o'clock every morning before the restaurant officially opened, and waited for the phone to ring to see if somebody wouldn't show up to work. And it happened every day. And when the shift finished, I would stay around because I didn't want to go all the way home, and I'd wait till 5 o'clock until these employees, who were all young kids from wealthy families, oh, I don't want to work tonight. I'll work. So from having no shifts, I was working 7 days a week with not a single shift, and I was picking up a paycheck. But it wasn't easy. There were rough rides. I worked for 6 months with a dislocated elbow. I couldn't, until one day, I was fooling around with one of the chefs. We were trying to see who could lift the most flats of Coca-Cola or 7-Up or whatever. And I lifted it up, and it clicked back into place. And it was like, you know, thank God for that, because the pain was killing me. And I was bussing tables. So you ever tried bussing tables where you've got to put the plates on one arm and do whatever the other? It wasn't easy, but I did it. The gentleman who ran the restaurant sponsored me. And in December of 1995, I went back to the UK for an interview. The interview consisted of me going to a backstreet doctor, and you walked in, and it was I don't know, it was like this by this. It was a grimy little office. You walk in, and he says, her name, you know, date of birth, blah, blah, blah. He says, drop your pants, turn to the right, and cough.
Okay.
I came 5,000 miles to do this. Okay. All right, you seem to be healthy enough. Take this, go to Grosvenor Square, walk into the American Embassy, and present these papers. Okay. I go over to the American Embassy in Grosvenor Square. Huge, huge building. Walk in, and you're met by, you know, an MP. You show them the papers. Over there. It's not like, you know, okay, over there. All right, so you're in this big room, and it's frigid as hell. But the atmosphere is frigid, and it was cold because it was December. And they call you in, and they go, well, we've read your papers and everything, and raise your right hand. Do you promise to swear? Yes. I don't know what he said, but yes seemed to be the better answer of the yes or no. They go, boom, okay, you'll get your card in 3 months. And it showed up a few months later, but that didn't end things, because there was another set of problems being an immigrant. There was another set of issues. The INS bus, prior to getting all of this, the INS bus would come around, and one of the chefs who had a green card, he was about this high, big old gut, funny as hell. He was standing there one day, and the guy came in, you have a green card? And he goes, yeah, I have a green American Express card. He says, that's not the card I'm looking for. And he goes into his wallet, and he pulls out his green card. Me, I'm hiding in the trash can out back of the restaurant. I mean, when you know one of those big blue ones that you see around town, I was hiding in that. Eventually, the bus disappeared. They rounded up a couple of people. He banged on the thing. I got out. I didn't smell the best, I have to be honest, but I was saved. A few months later, there was another roundup. Only this time, what we did was, we went to the back of the restaurant. I threw flour all over me, and I was rolling pizza dough. And the guy came back there, and he goes, "What are you covered in flour for?" I said, "Well, a flour bag burst, and I haven't been able to clean it up." He says, "Is there anybody else around here?" I go, "No, just me." And I carried on rolling balls. I really didn't say much. I saved my tail from that one. But it wasn't easy. I was illegal for almost 81, 82, 83, 84. December 1985, I went back. January 1986, I got this card. And I went backwards and forwards to England a few times. And then I went into a different business. And I went to a big meeting with New York Life. It was held at one of the hotels here, a big ballroom. And a guy stood up and started making derogatory comments about Jews. And the group of people I was with, one of them was a big sales guy for New York Life. And he looked at me and I looked at him. And the guy basically said, "You're very lucky if you have a Jewish guy working for you." And I don't see how I'm lucky. Nobody's giving me anything to work for New York Life. I got to do it all myself. The managing partner of that New York Life office was also anti-Semitic. I mean, he wouldn't do anything for me. He tried to run me out. In a manager's meeting, he said, it's 9 o'clock, you've got till 2 o'clock to come back with X number of applications, otherwise we're firing you. At 9:15, I said, I got to go. He said, where are you going? I said, it doesn't matter, but I'll be back at 2. I went down to the airport, and that was in those days, you could go to the airport 10 minutes before the plane took off, because you could park the car, walk across the street, you'd go out on the airplane. I was going to Burbank. I went to Burbank, got 15 applications signed within an hour and a half, I think it was. Got back on the plane, went back to the New York Life office, which is over on Spencer and East Flamingo in the Greystone building, filled out all the applications, because all I had to do, they were all signed with checks and everything. At 2 o'clock I walked in, and it was this thick. I dumped them on the managing partner's desk. I said, by the way, you owe me $7,500, and I'll take it before the end of the month. And he goes, what's this? I said, well, this morning you told me if I didn't come back with at least 15 applications, you were going to cut me out. Well, I didn't expect you to do that. I have your resignation sheet here. I said, well, might as well tear it up and throw it away, because there they are. And I went back and I sat in my little cubicle, which was no bigger than this, gray felt, cheap ass chair, excuse my French, and a little cupboard here and a drawer there. That was another one. I've experienced it in Toastmasters meetings, not here, well, not from the members, but from outside members, and other meetings where they did all sorts of Heil Hitler and all the rest of that nonsense, and then they looked at me and they go, what do you think about that? And I said, if it wasn't in for a business meeting and I'm here wearing a suit, I'll knock you out, because that's not unacceptable behavior. You can't do that. Well, we're fast forward. I've been here, like I said, 44 years. Has it been up and down? Yes. Has it been easy? As somebody once described me, I'm like a basketball. Every time you bounce it, I keep springing back up again, because people think, oh, we got him now. That's it. He's not going to recover from that. They took everything away from me. They stole from me. I went bankrupt twice. I was worth a strong 7 figures at one point, and I went down to where I had a couple of $1,000. I was living on the street because United Healthcare took my income away, left me with $125. And for 7 years, I was fighting everything, trying to keep a roof over my head, pay off all the debts, which were huge, deal with other issues, and try and keep a positive refrain. It wasn't for my father, who said to me, you need to do this, this, and this. And he wasn't in the best of shape either. And he kept saying, do this, do this, do this. And I said, all right, I'll give it a whirl, I'll try. I said, but I'm not letting myself down, and nothing bothers me anymore. They can't take anything away because I haven't got anything to take. And we fast forward. I paid off all the debt. I haven't had a full-time job since 2010 because of the actions of United Healthcare and the administration. But I will say this. Tomorrow, at around 12 o'clock, I will become a United States citizen.
Aww.
I've worked hard. It's cost me a fortune. A lot of friends died. A lot of people walked away when they shouldn't have done, because I helped them over the years. I gave away so much to so many people, and I saw an ad online. I went to meet this lady. She was over in Green Valley, on Green Valley Parkway. She told me how much it was going to be. I said, no problem, I'll give you the money. She did all the paperwork. I had the interview. I had an interview 10 days ago. I passed that interview with a few humorous anecdotes to the lady, which I shouldn't have done, but I did anyway. And like I say, tomorrow at around 12 o'clock, I will take the oath, and I will no longer be walking around with a resident alien card. And this is all because of a lot of people that helped me that didn't have to. Mr. Toastmaster.